Welcome to Medieval Chronicles 1066. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most remarkable battles in medieval history, the Battle of Agincourt. Did you know that the Battle of Agincourt was fought against tremendous odds, with one side vastly outnumbered? Join us as we uncover the epic clash between the English and French forces on that fateful day in 1415. But first, let us explore the causes and history of the 100 Years' War, the conflict that set the stage for this legendary battle. Part 1: The causes of the 100 Years' War. Dynastic disputes and claims. The roots of the 100 Years' War, a protracted series of conflicts between England and France, lay in complex dynastic disputes. The immediate cause was a disagreement over the legitimate succession to the French throne. When the French King Charles IV died in 1328 without a male heir, the French nobility selected Philip VI, a cousin of Charles, to be the new king. However, Edward III of England, the son of Charles' IV sister, claimed that he had a stronger right to the French throne through his maternal lineage. This claim was based on the principle of male preference cognatic primogeniture, which was not recognized by French succession laws. Territorial ambitions and tensions. The dynastic dispute was further complicated by territorial ambitions and ongoing tensions. English kings held significant territories in France, including the Duchy of Aquitaine, which made them vassals to the French crown. This situation created a continuous source of friction, as the English kings sought to expand their holdings while resisting French efforts to assert control over these territories. Economic and political factors. Economic factors also played a significant role in the conflict. The control of lucrative trade routes and resources, particularly in the wool trade, was a major point of contention. Additionally, the war provided an opportunity for both monarchies to strengthen their political positions at home by rallying their nobles and subjects around a common cause. Part 2: The War. Edward III and Philip VI. Edward III declared himself King of France in 1337, marking the beginning of the war. The early phase of the conflict saw several major battles, including the Battle of Crécy in 1346 and the Battle of Poitiers in 1356. At Crécy, the English longbowmen decimated the French knights, showcasing the effectiveness of this weapon. At Poitiers, Edward, the Black Prince, captured King John II of France, dealing a significant blow to French morale and leadership. The Treaty of Bretigny. The war's first phase culminated in the Treaty of Bretigny in 1360, which favored the English. Under the treaty, Edward III renounced his claim to the French throne in exchange for substantial territorial gains in France and a large ransom for the captured King John II. However, the peace was short-lived, and hostilities resumed in 1369. The rise of Charles V and the French recovered Charles V's cautious strategy. When Charles V of France took the throne, he adopted a more cautious strategy, avoiding pitched battles and focusing on attrition warfare. He implemented reforms to strengthen the French army and fortifications, gradually regaining territory lost to the English. The role of Bertrand de Guesclin. Charles V's most effective commander was Bertrand de Guesclin, a brilliant strategist who excelled in guerrilla warfare and sieges. Under his leadership, the French forces recaptured much of the territory ceded to the English in the Treaty of Bretigny. De Guesclin's tactics of harassment and avoidance of large-scale battles wore down the English and their resources. Internal strife in England. Meanwhile, England faced internal strife. Richard II succeeded Edward III in 1377 but was less effective in prosecuting the war, leading to political instability and conflicts with the nobility. The Peasants' Revolt of 1381 further weakened his reign, making it difficult for England to maintain its military campaigns in France. Renewed conflict under Henry IV. Henry IV's ascension and challenges. The conflict continued intermittently until Henry IV ascended to the English throne in 1399. Henry IV's reign was marked by internal instability, including rebellions and challenges to his legitimacy. These issues limited his ability to campaign in France effectively. The madness of Charles VI. The French position was weakened by the mental illness of Charles VI, who suffered from bouts of madness. This led to a power struggle within the French nobility, with factions vying for control of the government. The internal divisions in France created an opportunity for the English to exploit. Henry V and the renewed English offensive. Henry V's ambitions and preparations. Henry V, a brilliant military leader, became King of England in 1413. He sought to revive the English fortunes in France and strengthen his legitimacy at home. Henry's claim to the French throne was based on the earlier claims of Edward III, and he used this to justify his invasion of France in 1415. The Siege of Halfa. Henry V's campaign began with the Siege of Halfa, a strategic port in Normandy. The siege was protracted and costly, with many English soldiers succumbing to disease. Nevertheless, Halfa fell to the English, providing a crucial foothold for further operations in France. The march to Calais and the French response. Despite the toll taken by the siege, Henry decided to march his army towards Calais, seeking to reach the English-held territory. The French, aware of Henry's movements, gathered a substantial force to intercept the English. Led by Charles d'Albret, Constable of France, and various French nobles, the French army significantly outnumbered the English. Setting the stage for Agincourt. The composition of the armies. The English army comprised approximately 6,000 men, with a large contingent of longbowmen. The French army, on the other hand, boasted about 20,000 troops, including heavily armored knights and men-at-arms. The French forces were confident in their numerical superiority and believed they could easily overwhelm the English. Battlefield conditions and terrain. The battlefield near Agincourt was narrow and flanked by dense woods, funneling the French forces into a confined space. Heavy rains in the days leading up to the confrontation had turned the ground into a muddy quagmire. This muddy terrain severely hampered the French cavalry and infantry, making it difficult for them to maneuver effectively. Part 3: The Battle of Agincourt. The English strategy. Henry V was a strategic genius. Understanding the strengths of his forces and the weaknesses of his enemies, he made the crucial decision to utilize the longbow, a weapon that would prove decisive. The longbow was not only a powerful weapon but also had a significant range advantage, allowing English archers to strike from a distance. Positioned behind a series of sharpened stakes to deter cavalry charges, the English archers were ready to unleash devastation upon the advancing French. The French strategy. The French, confident in their superior numbers and heavily armored knights, planned to overwhelm the English through sheer force. Their strategy relied on a frontal assault to break Henry's lines and crush the outnumbered English army. However, this overconfidence and underestimation of the English tactics would lead to disastrous consequences. Battlefield conditions. The battlefield itself played a crucial role in the outcome of the battle. Heavy rains in the days leading up to the confrontation had turned the ground into a muddy quagmire. This muddy terrain severely hampered the French cavalry and infantry, making it difficult for them to maneuver effectively. The narrow battlefield, flanked by dense woods, funneled the French forces into a confined space, amplifying the effectiveness of the English archers. The battle begins. The longbow's devastation. As the French knights advanced, they were met with a hail of arrows from the English longbows. The arrows pierced armor, unseating knights, and causing chaos within the French ranks. The muddy terrain compounded their difficulties, making it nearly impossible for the heavily armored knights to reach the English lines with any speed or cohesion. The longbow was the star of the battle. English archers, trained from a young age to master this weapon, fired thousands of arrows per minute. The sky darkened with the deadly projectiles, and the French, unable to retaliate effectively, suffered immense casualties. Horses fell, knights were unhorsed, and panic began to spread through the French ranks. Despite the devastating impact of the longbows, the French continued their assault. The melee combat that ensued was brutal and chaotic. English men-at-arms, positioned strategically among the archers, engaged in close combat with the French, who managed to reach their lines. The muddy ground made movement difficult, turning the battlefield into a grueling slog. The surprising outcome. Against all odds, the English emerged victorious. The French, demoralized and decimated by the longbow's relentless onslaught, eventually broke and fled. Estimates of French casualties range from 7,000 to 10,000, including many nobles and knights. In contrast, the English losses were remarkably low, with only a few hundred casualties. The victory at Agincourt was not just a military triumph, but a psychological one, proving that strategy and technology could overcome numerical superiority. Key strategies and tactics: Henry V's leadership, the role of the longbow, the French mistakes, and the Treaty of Troyes. Henry V's leadership was characterized by his ability to inspire and maintain discipline among his troops. He understood the importance of morale and ensured that his men were prepared and motivated for the battle. His decision to position his archers strategically and utilize the natural terrain to his advantage demonstrated his tactical acumen. The longbow's effectiveness at Agincourt cannot be overstated. English archers, trained from a young age, were capable of firing 10 to 12 arrows per minute. These arrows, capable of penetrating armor at close range, caused significant casualties among the French. The use of stakes to protect the archers from cavalry charges was another innovative tactic that contributed to the English victory. The French made several critical mistakes, including underestimating the English and overcommitting their forces in a narrow, muddy battlefield. Their reliance on heavy cavalry and densely packed infantry formations made them vulnerable to the English longbows and the difficult terrain. French casualties, English gains, and morale boost, the long-term effects. The aftermath of the battle saw a staggering loss for the French nobility, weakening their military power and morale. The death toll included many high-ranking nobles and knights, which had a significant impact on French society and the feudal system. The English, bolstered by this unexpected victory, gained a significant psychological and strategic advantage. Henry V's reputation as a brilliant military leader was solidified, and the victory at Agincourt became a symbol of English resilience and tactical superiority. The triumph also boosted English morale and reinforced their claims to French territories. The long-term effects of the Battle of Agincourt were profound. In 1420, the Treaty of Troyes was signed, which recognized Henry V as the heir to the French throne and allowed him to marry Catherine of Valois, the daughter of Charles VI. This treaty temporarily united the crowns of England and France, although the union was short-lived. Part 4: Primary historical sources and modern historical perspectives. Primary sources. Jean Froissart's Chronicles. Much of what we know about the Battle of Agincourt comes from contemporary chronicles and letters. Jean Froissart, a medieval chronicler, provided detailed accounts of the events leading up to and including the battle. Although his work is sometimes criticized for its pro-English bias, it remains a valuable source of information. Enguerrand de Montstralet's writings. Enguerrand de Montstrelet, another chronicler, offered a perspective from the French side. His accounts highlight the French preparations and the internal divisions that plagued their command structure. Monstrelet's writings provide a more balanced view of the events and the challenges faced by the French. Administrative records and letters. Additionally, administrative records and letters from both English and French camps provide valuable insights into the strategies, movements, and experiences of the soldiers involved. These primary sources help to paint a detailed picture of the logistics and planning behind the battle. And Currie's insights. Modern historians view the Battle of Agincourt as a pivotal moment in medieval warfare. And Currie, a leading expert on the battle, emphasizes the role of logistics, terrain, and the morale of the troops in her analysis. She points out that Henry's decision to march his tired, disease-stricken army towards Calais, despite the risks, demonstrated his understanding of psychological warfare and the importance of maintaining momentum. Juliet Barker's perspective. Juliet Barker underscores the significance of the English archers and the tactical innovations they brought to the battlefield. Barker's research delves into the training and discipline of these archers, illustrating how their skills were honed over years of practice and conflict. She also highlights the importance of Henry V's leadership and the cohesive strategy employed by the English forces. Conclusion. The Battle of Agincourt remains one of the most significant military engagements in European history, not only for its immediate impact, but also for its long-term ramifications in the political and social landscape of medieval Europe. This remarkable clash on October 25, 1415, has been immortalized in literature, notably by William Shakespeare in his play Henry V, and continues to be studied for its tactical brilliance and the dramatic reversal of expected outcomes. Historical significance of Agincourt. Strategic and tactical innovations. The Battle of Agincourt is often cited as a masterclass in military strategy and tactics. Henry V's use of the longbow, a weapon that had proven effective in earlier battles such as Crécy and Poitiers, was pivotal. By positioning his archers behind defensive stakes and using the natural terrain to funnel the French forces into a confined space, Henry maximized the longbow's devastating impact. This tactic neutralized the numerical superiority of the French and showcased the effectiveness of disciplined, well-coordinated infantry over traditional cavalry charges. The battle highlighted the shift from feudal levies to professional armies, a trend that would continue in subsequent centuries. Impact on the Hundred Years' War. Agincourt was a turning point in the Hundred Years' War, significantly boosting English morale and weakening French resistance. The victory allowed Henry V to pursue further campaigns in France, with increased confidence and support from his nobles and subjects. It also led to the Treaty of Troyes in 1420, which recognized Henry as the heir to the French throne and temporarily unified the crowns of England and France. Although this union was short-lived, it underscored the shifting power dynamics in Europe. Political ramifications in France. The French defeat at Agincourt had profound political repercussions. The loss of a substantial portion of the French nobility, including many high-ranking knights and commanders, destabilized the feudal structure and exacerbated existing divisions within the French court. The mental illness of Charles VI further complicated the situation, leading to a power struggle between the Armagnac and Burgundian factions. This internal conflict weakened France's ability to mount a coordinated resistance against the English and contributed to the prolonged instability in the region. Economic and social consequences. The battle had significant economic and social consequences. The heavy casualties among the French nobility led to a redistribution of lands and titles, altering the social fabric of the country. The economic burden of ransoms and the cost of continued warfare strained the finances of both kingdoms. In England, the victory at Agincourt enhanced Henry V's prestige and consolidated his power, enabling him to raise funds and muster support for future campaigns. Literary and cultural legacy. The Battle of Agincourt left an indelible mark on European culture and literature. William Shakespeare's portrayal of Henry V as a heroic and inspirational leader in his play Henry V has shaped the popular perception of the battle and its participants. The St. Crispin's Day speech, in which Henry V rouses his troops with the promise of eternal glory, has become one of the most famous passages in English literature, embodying the themes of courage, honor, and patriotism. Modern historical analysis and Curry's insights. Modern historians, such as Anne Curry, have provided nuanced analyses of the Battle of Agincourt. Curry's extensive research, including her work Agincourt, A New History, emphasizes the importance of logistics, terrain, and morale. She argues that Henry's decision to march his exhausted and disease-stricken army towards Calais was a calculated risk that paid off due to his understanding of psychological warfare and the importance of maintaining momentum. Curry also highlights the role of the longbow and the strategic placement of English troops as crucial factors in the victory. Juliet Barker's perspective. Juliet Barker's analysis in her book Agincourt, The King, The Campaign, The Battle delves into the training and discipline of the English archers. Barker's research illustrates how their skills were honed over years of practice and conflict, making them a formidable force on the battlefield. She also underscores the significance of Henry V's leadership, describing how his ability to inspire and maintain discipline among his troops was instrumental in their success. Legacy and lessons. The legacy of Agincourt extends beyond its immediate aftermath. The battle demonstrated the evolving nature of warfare, where strategic innovation and discipline could overcome numerical superiority and traditional tactics. It also highlighted the importance of leadership and the ability to adapt to changing circumstances on the battlefield. These lessons resonated through subsequent military conflicts and continue to be relevant in modern military theory. Impact on chivalric warfare. Agincourt marked a turning point in the decline of chivalric warfare, where heavily armored knights on horseback dominated the battlefield. The effectiveness of the longbowman and the disciplined infantry signaled a shift towards more modern forms of warfare, where technology and strategy played a crucial role. This shift was further accelerated by the development of gunpowder weapons and the rise of professional standing armies in the later medieval and early modern periods. Cultural memory and national identity. The battle also played a significant role in shaping national identities. For the English, Agincourt became a symbol of national pride and military prowess. The victory was celebrated in ballads, chronicles, and later in Shakespeare's works, reinforcing the image of England as a formidable military power. For the French, Agincourt was a sobering reminder of the need for unity and reform, eventually leading to the revitalization of French forces under leaders like Joan of Arc. Broader European context. In the broader European context, Agincourt had implications for the balance of power. The weakening of France due to internal strife and military defeats provided opportunities for other European powers to assert their influence. The Italian city-states, the Holy Roman Empire, and the kingdoms of Spain and Portugal observed the conflict closely, learning valuable lessons about military strategy and statecraft. Enduring historical interest. The enduring interest in the Battle of Agincourt is reflected in the continuous scholarly research and public fascination with the event. Historians and military analysts study the battle to understand the dynamics of medieval warfare and the factors that contributed to the English victory. The battlefields, museums, and commemorate events attract history enthusiasts, keeping the memory of Agincourt alive in contemporary culture. Final thoughts? The Battle of Agincourt stands as a testament to the power of strategy, the effectiveness of the longbow, and the importance of adapting to battlefield conditions. Despite being vastly outnumbered, Henry V and his men secured a decisive victory that left an indelible mark on history. The battle reshaped the course of the 100 Years' War, influenced the development of military tactics, and contributed to the evolving political landscape of medieval Europe. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe for more captivating historical insights. Thank you for exploring Medieval Chronicles 1066. See you next time.